Jacques Villeneuve, a former world champion in Formula One, gave a harsh evaluation of Daniel Ricciardo's career, calling nearly half of it awful, and he questioned why any team would be interested in signing the Australian. Given his lackluster performance over the last 4 Formula One seasons, Ricciardo presently holds the 14th position in the Drivers' Championship standings with only 19 points. Stay glued to your screen as we uncover what was said about the Australian. Before we go on, please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Despite the fact that he still has a season left on his massive $20 million per year contract, the unwelcome 33-year-old was recently fired by McLaren in favor of his fellow countryman Oscar Piastri, leaving without a position on the grid for 2023. Ricciardo has been linked to Williams and Haas as his options are rapidly running out, and it has come to light that the Perth driver may possibly take a 12-month break from the sport. Villeneuve's response was direct when asked if he was surprised that the troubled Australian had not been signed by a team. Why would he be? The 1997 world champion told Formula One TV. He endured 2 dreadful seasons at Renault and 2 even worse ones at McLaren. That's 4 years. Almost half of his Formula One career was bad. Alpine has no reason to take him, especially considering that he has already driven there. The contemporary cars just don't seem to fit his driving style. He impressed everyone at Red Bull. He displayed incredible overtaking maneuvers. He started off in front of Max. However, Max eventually began to get a handle on him. Then he changed, and after the switch, something appears to have occurred that he was unable to control. He was never the same after that. Villeneuve was also against the notion of Ricciardo taking a year off from competition before coming back in 2024. He said it could make him lazy. You can take a year off if you're Alonso or a Schumacher, if you've won numerous races and been crowned world champion, if you're certain in the pit lane that you'll always perform at your peak, regardless of the season. Don't do that after 4 unsuccessful years. You take what you can get. If you have an offer to drive in Formula One, then you take every cockpit. In public, you'll say you don't want to drive for one of the back teams, but if that's the only contract you can get, then you'll sign it. When asked about the possibility of the Australian joining the Formula One team, Haas principal Guenther Steiner cited Ricciardo's poor performance. At Monza, he stated, "I've spoken to most of the potential drivers, which is my job. There is now nothing definite, but we only want to take the most minimal risks for the benefit of the team. You have the option to take a big risk, which is terrific when it pays off, but horrible when it doesn't. There aren't any of those available right now, except for Daniel, who is now in poor form and whose future plans are unknown. He might take a year off." At the Italian Grand Prix, Daniel Ricciardo's terrible Formula One luck struck once more, but despite the uncertainty surrounding his future, the Australian nevertheless put out one of his best performances of the year. The 3rd and final year of the Australian's McLaren was bought out, leaving him without a drive in 2023. He was replaced by the young Australian, Oscar Piastri. There are now only 6 races left in this season for Ricciardo to increase his stock for either next year or for 2024, when more openings are anticipated, by putting himself in the shop window. From the opening lap until Pierre Gasly's retirement on lap 47, Ricciardo held off AlphaTauri's Gasly despite his pace issues and his well-known discomforts in the McLaren cockpit. Gasly, whose AlphaTauri was quicker, was close to Ricciardo's rear throughout the race, but the 33-year-old didn't put a single foot wrong under pressure, leaving Gasly unhappy. Gasly stated after the race, "I'll sure have dreams about Daniel's rear wing for the next couple of days. I followed him for however many laps, but it seemed like an eternity. I did everything I could, but he made not a single error." Due to several grid penalties for other drivers, Ricciardo started the race in 4th place. However, after teammate Lando Norris repeatedly engaged in anti-stall maneuvers, Ricciardo moved up to 3rd. In the end, Norris gained the majority of the lost ground, while Ricciardo and Gasly were passed by the faster Mercedes, Ferrari, and Red Bull vehicles. Before his car gave out, Ricciardo's race was firmly in the Frenchman's favor, and he was poised to place 7th. After the race, Ricciardo told reporters that until things were taken out of control, he was happy with his performance. "I got a decent start. Obviously, I was 3rd, and I kind of hoped the race would end on lap 1. Another podium would have really been amazing, but I didn't have the pace. Today, I was trying to cling on to Gasly, but he was certainly faster, so I was glad to keep up with him for the majority of the race. But I wish we had a little bit more to display." The 3rd driver in a row, After Gasly and Leclerc to not finish the Italian Grand Prix the year after winning the race, Ricciardo ultimately succumbed to the Monza curse. It's a major setback because it leaves him in 14th place in the drivers' standings with only 19 points to show for his 2022 season. Although there are just openings at Williams, Alfa Romeo, Alpine, and Haas, it's uncertain what Ricciardo will do in the upcoming season. Gasly is widely regarded as the favorite at Alpine, but Nick de Vries made a strong impression in his Formula One debut for Williams on Sunday and may work full-time with Alex Albon next year. Alfa Romeo and Haas are the only remaining teams, though it seems more likely that Ricciardo will skip next year and aim to return in 2024. As Hamilton's contract expires at the end of 2023, it is rumored that the latter option may see him take on a job as a backup driver, possibly at Mercedes. While Hamilton stated during the Italian Grand Prix that he still has no plans to retire anytime soon, Ricciardo has stated that he is open to anything, including a reserve position. Hamilton stated while seated next to Ricciardo, "We've been going around, up and down, with stories of retiring and stopping for years. I place a lot of emphasis on the fact that I currently feel healthier than I ever have. Sorry, buddy, but I don't think I'll be stopping anytime soon. I'm feeling healthy and I love what I'm doing." During a post-race broadcast with Will Buxton of Phone.com, Ricciardo also mocked the scheme. During the broadcast, Will Buxton made light of the fact that if Ricciardo accepted a reserve position with Mercedes, he and the Australian would co-host the program in 2023. "Oh, I'm absolutely not doing it then," Ricciardo retorted. Ricciardo's fall from glory has recently shook the Formula One community. Ricciardo was once the face of Red Bull, but the rise of Verstappen, the current Formula One champion who is ready to win a second straight title, set in motion a chain of terrible events for the Australian, who was not content with being the number 2 driver. But Ricciardo's career is at a crossroads after largely disastrous moves to Renault and then McLaren, and the 33-year-old is set to be forced out of Formula One next season. Verstappen said he hoped his former teammate would find a home again, even if it wasn't next year. Verstappen's victory at the Italian Grand Prix gave him a boost in the Drivers' Championship. Max Verstappen's triumph at the Italian Grand Prix maintained his improbable march towards a second World Championship. Verstappen's advantage at the top of the championship is now so large that it is a matter of when, not if, he is declared the winner, even if Carlos Sainz, George Russell, Sergio Perez, Charles Leclerc, and others are all still technically in the running for the title. The Formula One season resumes on October 2nd at the Singapore Grand Prix. That brings an end to today's video. Do you think Daniel Ricciardo will secure a drive for 2023? Leave your thoughts in the comments section below. Don't forget to share and subscribe to our channel to get updates on Formula One. Give this video a like if you enjoyed watching it. You can also click on the bell icon to turn on post notifications so you can get notified anytime we upload a video.